On February 5th, 2021, the Secretary of Defense directed unit commanders and supervisors at all levels to conduct a leadership stand down to address the issues of extremist ideologies in our ranks. As you heard or will hear today in the Secretary's video remarks, extremist ideologies, particularly those that undermine the oath which we all took to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, have no place within the Department of Defense. Actively espousing ideologies that encourage discrimination, hate, and harassment against others will not be tolerated within our fighter wing. I expect the core principles of dignity and mutual respect to guide the actions of the personnel in the 115th at all times, to include our conversations that happen here today. Your facilitators have volunteered to help get ideas and discussion out of all of us. They're not here to be argued with, and I ask you all to use these discussions as a way that we can come together. The vast majority of men and women in the United States military and those who serve within the Department of Defense as civilian employees perform their duties with the responsibility and integrity that we encourage. We do not support racially and ethnically motivated violent extremists, including white supremacists and other domestic terrorists, such as anti-government extremists. However, recent events have shown that we must be ever vigilant in our efforts to identify and combat such ideology within our ranks and organizations. As such, we have 4 goals for today's discussion. The first is to review the meaning of the oath which we took on becoming a member of the United States military.
Second is to review impermissible behaviors, those actions prohibited under applicable law under DoD, military department, or military service policy.
We'll spend some time reviewing the responsibilities on us all for reporting to our chain of command when we observe or learn of prohibited actions or those that may cause us concern as signs of potential future problems.
We'll finish with listening sessions. The Secretary wants your feedback on what actions he should consider in combating this issue, and I want it too.
Thank you in advance for your attention. While I understand this can be a sensitive subject, it's important that we take on this significant challenge together. As we all entered military service, we took an oath. This is your first act as a military member and a critical one. We must never forget that being on our team is an honor and a privilege. You serve one of the most respected institutions in America, and that comes with an additional responsibility and obligations. You are held to a higher professional standard and must set the example in all that you say and do. Many of you serve in positions of trust with access to classified information or in sensitive positions. Those of you in leadership and supervisory positions are entrusted with the well-being of individual service members and civilian employees, as well as the well-being of our organization. All of you are expected to do the right thing, to look after each other, and to work together to overcome whatever challenges the mission presents.
We want to ensure that our members know what resources are available to recognize and react to impermissible behaviors. All situations are different, and deciding to take action is going to be a judgment call. The scale of defining impermissible behaviors starts with interest and language. If a fellow airman shows interest in or talks about joining extremist groups, those are early indicators. Next is association, or actually joining an extremist group. After that comes action, which involves actively participating in extremist group activities. Last is advocacy, where members are actively recruiting and advocating for an extremist group. Keep in mind that these activities are distinctly different from participating in the normal political process. AFI 51-508, Political Activities, Free Speech, and Freedom of Assembly of Air Force Personnel, outlines what members can and can't do in terms of participating in politics. Take a look at that resource when questions arise. Generally speaking, a member's participation in the normal political process, if done out of uniform and out of work hours, is perfectly acceptable. But participation in extremist groups, regardless of their political affiliation, is not acceptable. If you're concerned that one of our airmen's actions constitute impermissible behavior, we ask you to take action. Start by talking to the member to express concerns and build a picture of what he or she is involved in. Then inform your chain of command if you think action is needed. If that is not possible because they may be involved, then consult with your first sergeant or trusted mentor outside your chain of command. Lastly, the Inspector General Office, the Equal Opportunity Office, or our legal office can provide resources to investigate the behavior to see if further action is required. Today's training is designed to start the conversation about extremist group activity in the military. You may come out with more questions than answered, and that's okay. Together we can come up with the right response to every situation.